All right, so it's episode 2 of the Deep End with the Teal Swan saga. And right off the bat, yet again, I am just flabbergasted, is a good word, because I was a celebrity personal assistant, and she's talking about how she allowed these people to come work for her in exchange of learning from her. She was talking about how these people who she essentially collects have just been at her beck and call ever since they joined the mission, as she calls it. And she basically says that if anybody wants to be a part of their community, they have to be fully immersed in her mission. And that essentially means they need to drop whatever they're doing and tend to her and her needs, which is evident when the person, she says, Blake, is the person that she needs by her side, her safe space. He's clearly in love with this sweet girl who's come across the seas to live with them, and he doesn't have a backbone, it seems, yet. I'm hoping he shows us different later on, but mainly the sweet girl is sitting at the table and they're all around her, and they basically take all their cues from her. Teal is in charge. And, you know, the problem is, and I noticed this when I worked for celebrities, when you surround yourself with yes people, you get no perspective and you don't know how to work with your own shadow because no one ever says, no, I don't agree. I have a different perspective. And they're sitting around the table talking about how you might have to marry a billionaire so that she can fight the people that keep saying that she's dangerous. And why would anyone assume that just because you entertain the idea of suicide, that that's causing people to commit suicide? Well, first of all, if you know anything about manifestation, what she does is she asks people to imagine the act of killing themselves. And I'm not making that up. That's directly from the show, and she says it in her videos. And yeah, of course people are going to get that in their head. How would they do it? Before then, it was just, I'm not happy. I think about it. I play with the idea. But when you call it into reality, when you actually envision it, that's manifestation. And that's a red flag. So they've hired a special investigator or private investigator, whatever is the difference. And she's clearly on the take, you know. It's obvious that she's asking leading questions. She's interviewing people who are her followers. What they need to do is ask people who haven't been brainwashed by Teal what they would do or how they would react, you know. I mean, you need unbiased perspective. And that's very interesting. I mean, it's Hollywood. It's obviously kind of staged because the way she's asking the questions to the camera, it's like, okay, we've rehearsed this, or you know what I'm going to ask, so I'm just going to ask it now. You know, I was an actress and we had a production company. So I'm getting like some of this is fake. Some of this is just setting it up to make Teal seem more credible, which is genius. It's smart. You know, if I were a cult leader, or she doesn't think she's a cult leader, it's hilarious because she's even talking about not letting people in her community that don't share her truth. And she's upset at the people at her table for not being as upset as she is. Like, why are you guys so quiet? I'm feeling so powerless. How are you not feeling as powerless as I am? It's like, well, bitch, I'm not you. Okay. And first of all, they take their cues from you. So you haven't told them what to feel yet. So Teal has this tendency. It's a very narcissistic tendency. It's pretty textbook. And I don't throw around the word narcissist often, but everyone else is against her. She's talking about how Ileana is this and that, and she's this raw stone, and maybe she'll smooth out, and she doesn't bend for anyone else. There's no possible way that Teal could be defensive or jealous or maybe a bit controlling of her ex, who she's just kept tied to her for 5 frickin' marriages. And this is his first committed relationship in all that time. Like, what was it, 18 years that they've been together-ish? So this poor sweet guy, Amir, is sitting in front of Teal, and he just seems lost and he's not exactly sure how to communicate with her. And she asks, what does he need from her? And he says, I don't know. I just need more closeness. I'm a kind of person that likes affection. And he's clearly lonely. I think that's what he's trying to say. And she's supposedly psychic and intuitive and can read your mind and your future. I'm guessing she can read your future, but she can read your mind. And she turns to him and she says, there's no cohesive thought. Everything you say, there's nothing, there's no cohesive thought. And he's like, huh, interesting. I'm just like, what is wrong with you? And she says, how is your life doing? She basically is asking for him to tell her how terrible his life is. And he goes, it's okay. I was suicidal for a long time, and I think I'm doing better. And she goes, why the fuck do you think the universe would put you in front of me if you're doing great? What? Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that good that he's not wanting to kill himself and he's super depressed? He's hopeful. That's when you feed the hope. But instead she's like, why would the universe put you in front of me? Like he's at the feet of this guru at the top of a Sherpa mountain. I mean, the gall this woman has. Okay, so he confesses that he might have a crush on her and he might have a sexual crush on her. Like it might be romantic and he might have a sexual fantasy. And she's just like, that's a problem for me. Okay, well, that's to be expected with the intimacy that she requires with her clients. I mean, he's living with her and this is his second retreat and she doesn't have any boundaries and she doesn't teach these people how to build boundaries of their own. So what does she fucking expect? And she's upset. And she's saying, I hate the spiritual field. It's like, okay, well, instead of judging him for his attraction to you, why don't you understand that you're essentially mothering this person and there's supposedly a nurturing aspect to your work. So he feels safe with you. He used to be suicidal. He doesn't feel that anymore. So maybe right now is a good opportunity for you to redirect that and let him realize that it's not you that he has an affection for. It's that he doesn't trust anybody else. He hasn't opened his heart to anyone else. And he needs to see that the world is available to him. There are other women in the world that he could be just as attracted to if he were to open up to them. But instead, she's going to make drama about it because she didn't control that thought that came out of him. Where did that come from? I didn't give that to him. So it's a textbook case of transference. This poor guy, his mother killed herself. He has no maternal anything in his life, and Teal has become his mother. I called it. But now she's going to channel the mother into her own body, and then he's going to connect with her through her body. I haven't watched the scene yet, but this should not be something that she does because he has issues of transference that make her uncomfortable. And now she's going to be the vessel of his mother. Okay, so Teal wasn't the channel. They used Ileana, and it was very interesting. I channel messages from spirit as a tarot reader, and I use other divination practices as well. But it was a beautiful therapeutic tool. I don't know how I feel about that. I'll be curious to hear what you guys think about that scene. So I don't know if this is a tactic of Teal's, but she kind of says things. She's very proud of Ileana, but she's also kind of like, you're really good at this, and you're kind of better at this than people who have been on my team for years. And in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, well, she makes them compete for her attention and her affection and admiration. And anybody that was in the room when she said that is probably going to be offended because they think that they are her biggest devotional fans, people, followers, whatever they're called. That this is very interesting turn of events. Okay, so everything's good for a few minutes, but I know how production works. I know how these people think. Usually when they bring you up this high and they show Ileana integrating well into the community and everyone's laughing and smiling, except Teal. Teal's nowhere to be found in the fun. But usually they're about to bring you down hard. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're meeting former follower, member, inner circle person, Jared, who had a romantic relationship, is what I'm getting. And he was saying how Teal, as soon as the camera's off, as soon as they're behind closed doors, she is not the same person. Yeah, I can see that. I can see there's a lot of rage. Like just the face that she makes, and when like I don't know how somebody could have that much tension in their eyes, but she does it. And she apparently would ask the followers all the time, like, what are you willing to do for this cause? And he admits that he said he was willing to kill. And apparently that comforted her. Oh, that's scary. Yep. So now we're in a scene with Blake in her bed with Teal. And he says that he's going to propose to Ileana in 2 weeks. And she's smiling and she's like, really? Okay. What about a ring? Do you need help with that? Okay. And then she says, well, how does it feel about the end of a saga with having sexual feelings towards me? And that's fishing. Okay, bitch. We see what's happening. Okay. You threw a ton of chum in the water just now. And he's like, well, I still think you're sexy and, I'm still attracted to you. And she's like, oh, okay. Like that was just her narcissistic ass asking for just to know that she still has pull there, because she said earlier something about her using her sexuality in a demonic fashion to control people. Did she just say that? Wasn't sure if she was being facetious, but I mean, she's attractive, but they lean on it way too much. It's like, okay, is she having sex with all these people? Okay, the episode is over, and it ends with Blake marrying Ileana, and the song is True Love Finds You in the End. And everything's all hunky-dory, so let's see the previews for next week. Ooh, I'm excited! Next week we're going to find out, apparently everybody who joins the Inner Circle signs a non-disclosure agreement, is what I'm guessing is the paperwork, but it's filled with things that they have to agree to in order to truly be a part of the Inner Circle. So, and then Ileana says something about what she thinks, and they cut to Teal saying, you literally just crossed a line. Now we have problems. I mean, she's so high school. What the? Okay. So what did you guys think of the episode? Tell me all about it.